Hey, what's up, guys? This is BrendanMushi, and today we're just taking a look at the 2019 TGS Guilty Gear Soul and Kai trailer with zero point 0.5 seconds of May. So I'm just going to take a look at it and just kind of briefly go through and give my thoughts and speculation and things I've noticed. And also, I have something I saw on Twitter. It looks like they did a translation of an interview after TGS with Daisuke Ishiwatari. And it kind of gives some insight onto his direction with the game. And I use the term insight really loosely because he doesn't really give a whole lot of detail. It's pretty vague, but I do think there's some things he said that are really interesting that you're going to want to know if you're excited for this game. So I'll go over that in a bit. But for right now, let's take a look at the trailer. Okay, first things first, this is easily one of the best looking fighting games of all time. Definitely like the best looking anime fighting game. Free. like that's obvious. Let's get that out of the way. But one thing I do want to mention aesthetically about the game before we get into the gameplay is that if you notice in this game, there's no cuts at all. Like one of the main selling points is that the camera just rotates during all cinematics and it just moves. It never like cuts. You'll notice in Guilty Gear Xrd, if you hit someone with a 5D dust and then go for a homing jump, or if you do an overdrive, you'll notice the camera will cut. But in this game, it's just one character model, the camera rotating around them from the point the match starts to end. And I think that Daisuke Ishiwatari is super proud of that and just wants to show that off. He actually said that the gameplay trailers that we've seen from Evo till now is pretty much 100% gameplay. Like none of it is like just cinematic. I do think he's probably showing key parts on purpose back to like really flex the cinematic points, but it is all gameplay. So we see right off the bat Soul's 5K into Bandit Revolver, which is a bit different. The animation is a bit different. They did say this game is being animated from the ground up, which is why you might not see characters from Revelator. That's in the interview, actually, that we might not see them. So you'll see like a lot of characters will probably have special moves that they will probably have special moves taken away or look different entirely, like Soul's right there. So this one's interesting. So that 3-hit right there, a lot of people think that's an auto combo, which is possible. I do think this is either an auto combo or it's like a Rekka series with Soul. The reason why I think that is simply because if you look at it, each hit, it doesn't look like he's canceling. It looks like he's actually fluidly doing each hit. Like it's not like a cancel. So I'm thinking maybe it's like an auto combo or a Rekka series for him. But again, we don't know. Ooh, the 6-8. She shoved it through his fucking face. God damn. And this is another thing that he mentioned. During strong attacks, the game will slow down. And there's an example of it right there. Boom. The game is slowing down. That is gameplay. That's not edited. The game will actually do this. He stated in an interview. Oh, look at that whiff punish. Yo, footsies, nigga. Yo, footsies. Damn. This normal right here actually is like really reminiscent of Kai's old 6H and Accent Core. I'm pretty sure it's the exact same normal, but dang, what a button. And then goes right into baseball slide, stun dipper. So that's classic Kai stuff. Okay, so that move right there, I wonder if that's like replacing his greed sever overhead. That overhead kick that we've seen him do quite a lot. It looks like it's like a replacement to greed sever. But you know, we do see that there's a ground bounce mechanic in the game because he gets it right there. He gets a ground bounce mechanic. This looks similar to Kai's 5K standing low, and then he goes into a standing kick move, which we don't know what it is yet, obviously. This move right here is definitely Kai's sweep. I don't know, like I said, I don't know if this game uses punch, kick, slash, dust. I don't know. But if it did, this would definitely be his 2D. That's his sweep into vapor thrust, his uppercut. Crouch heavy slash launches him in the air, so we have moves that float. So you can see a lot of the combo properties from Guilty Gear still remain in this game quite a bit. And then that looks like a special move to me, but we don't know. That's definitely Soul's 5D. It looks just like his animation in Xrd. And as you can see, he just flies up in the air, does a homing jump, and then camera seamlessly transitions to the ground. And all the transitions seem to be really fast, and I think that's something I really appreciate, like the stage transitions, the 5D into the air, hopefully the slow-mo. Like, they're showcasing a lot of it, and I think a fear of a lot of people is like, damn, I hope this game isn't like at the speed of death and just constantly throwing particle effects and slow-mo in my face. But I think that he's doing that just for like the few trailers to show off the game. We haven't seen like an actual full-fledged match yet, and I don't think it's gonna look like that. But I mean, it still looks good, but I do know that's a concern of a lot of people, and I get that. And then right here, so we see Kai do his 2 heavy slash. I'll let it rock. 2 heavy slash. Looks like jump slash, jump heavy slash, vapor thrust. Regardless of what the actual button notation is or what he's doing, because we don't know. But it looks like, you know, you can see that he has a button that floats them into the air. Jump cancels for 2 attacks. And then he's clearly canceling that into an uppercut for a combo. And then here's him doing his Ride the Lightning. And one thing they definitely added to Guilty Gear for sure is the number of frames per the animation. So they've made it so that the camera more seamlessly rotates around the models without actually like cutting. And then they also added more frames of animation and facial expressions to it as well. So it looks like more fluid animation. So good stuff. Oh, he stole that boy. Oh, yo, So, I'm not sure what normal that's supposed to be, but he like bounces him off the ground, then off the wall. But either way, you can see right there, wall bounces are in the game. Soul's got his DP, Volcanic Viper. The hit stop is crazy right there. I know a lot of hits in this game. The hit stop, which if you're not familiar with hit stop, it's how it sounds when you hit someone in a fighting game. The game pauses for a brief moment, which is designed to help you with cancel timings. And the hit stop in this game looks like crazy. Like, look at the pausing on this. Pop, bop. Like, it pauses hella hard. Those are definitely throws. You can tell that this is Kai's throw because if you look at his hand right here, he's clearly throwing Soul into the air. And if it wasn't proof enough, and you can see the camera rotates, similar to how Street Fighter Cross Tekken did. When you throw someone in Street Fighter Cross Tekken, the camera would like rotate cinematically. So that's Kai's throw. And then this, if it wasn't proof enough, you can literally see Soul do Wild Throw, which I don't think Wild Throw is actually a command grab in this game and just his normal throw because it doesn't ground bounce. He just throws him to the ground. And we saw that ground bounces are definitely in the game. It's just a brand new Guilty Gear. Obviously, it's just my speculation, but I'm assuming that Soul's regular throw has the Wild Throw animation and he just doesn't have Wild Throw anymore. Okay, so Kai gets the jump in with what looks like his jumping heavy slash, and this is why I said this normal is his sweep, because as you can see, look, it knocked him down right there. So that normal is definitely his sweep, and then he cancels into stun edge, and it actually wall sticked, wall splatted, and very similar to how it works in the current Guilty Gear. It's very similar because you can see Soul actually start to slide down. You can see him start to slide down the wall. So a lot of the same mechanics within Guilty Gear exist. You know, doing a grounded combo, jump canceling into an air combo, ground bounces, wall sticks, dust. You can see a lot of the same mechanics. Now this is a new mechanic, which is the stage switch. In the interview, Daisuke Ishiwatari said that the stage switch mechanic is not just for cosmetic, but actually does have gameplay implications, which is interesting because wouldn't you think you wouldn't want to knock your opponent out of the corner? Like, wouldn't you think like, you know, you'd want to keep him there? So why gameplay wise would I intentionally knock my opponent to another stage? It's just weird. But like he said, he's trying to innovate and make a high risk game for the fighting game community. So I mean, we'll see. So Vapor thrusts him through the air as camera's not cutting. So that is Soul's classic jump slash, sweep dust, and then cancels into super, and see the camera just seamlessly in and out. No cuts. See, there's no cuts at all. Like, at no point is there a cut. It's just from the moment he does 2D into super, there's no cut. It zooms around him and then zooms out, and then this is definitely a KO. So you can tell in the same way the game says slash, and then the camera zooms around a bit, you could tell that that's what happened here. That's my assumption, is that he does jump slash sweep into Tyrant Rave, and the Tyrant Rave actually killed him. So you can see the cinematic from that and the cinematic from it killing. So I think a lot of people are like, oh man, this game is just going to be like the camera spinning around everywhere. It's done that way on purpose. I mean, look, they showed back to back as many instances as possible where it happens. So like, for example, Kai intentionally goes for a stage transition. And then immediately he does a super, which happens to kill and then causes... So he played 3 cinematics back to back to show off the game. We haven't seen an actual match yet. So I think people who are worried about it being too cinematic, I think just need to understand that they're just trying to show off the game as much as possible. And then right there, they show off, like, which is probably like what plays if Soul wins or when he comes in to fight, right? So... And then we get 0.5 seconds of May's intro. Yay, hype. Older May does look really cool. Yeah, I can't wait till CEO Otaku. Okay, so let me pull up the interview real quick and then we'll talk about that too. Alright guys, so here is the Famitsu interview with Katano and Ishiwatari. I'm not going to go over every single question in the interview because a lot of it is Famitsu trying to get more information out of them than they're willing to give. So I'm only going to go over the parts where they actually did give some kind of insight to us. I'm going to link it in the description down below, so if you want to read it up yourself, obviously go ahead and do that. Okay, so far, the few things in the beginning that you might have missed that I kind of skipped over was, number one, because they're rebuilding everything from the ground up, they confirmed that not every character from Guilty Gear Xrd will make it in. They also confirmed that while this game continues from beyond the story of Guilty Gear Xrd Rev 2, that it does not... it's not considered a part of the Xrd series. It's its own thing. It's a completely different Guilty Gear game, and they're reconstructing the franchise. Also, they can't say much about the Dreadlocks character. My theory is that he's a Valentine. To this day, I'm going to continue to call him Chocolate Valentine. That is the name that I've given him, and I'm sticking to it until I get further information. But they said they can't say much about him, but rather that he's important to the history of Guilty Gear. So I'm sure it'll be a bunch of that man, the backyard, Universal Will stuff for all you lore monsters out there. Anyway, so the question here is, in recent games by Arc System Works, there are many support systems that are easy for entry-level beginners to access. But does this work contain some kind of system that is easy for beginners to enter? So he's asking, you know, you guys usually have stuff like auto combos, like in Dragon Ball Fighters and Under Night. Are you adding something to this game to make it easier for beginners? And Ishiwatari says, the fact that there is a follow-up for beginners suggests the game is difficult to play in the first place. So I have my own interpretation. In that sense, I think about a game that doesn't need to follow that kind of trend. So far what he's saying is that I don't like the idea of having a beginner-friendly thing in the beginning, like a stylish mode or something like that, because he's saying when you have a stylish mode or auto combos, he's basically saying you're sectioning off a part of the game that's easy, and that in and of itself signifies the rest of the game is hard, and he's saying he doesn't like that and doesn't want to follow that trend. He's basically saying he wants the game as a whole to just be what it is, and he wants everyone to be able to play the game as it's created in a simple way. That's the way I take it. I obviously can't speak for him. He says, if it is a complex system like conventional Guilty Gear games with multiple system mechanics, we are developing this work by throwing all of that away and reconsidering things from scratch, which that follow-up sounds like I'm correct. He's saying other Guilty Gear games have a long list of complex system mechanics and we're throwing that all away. And he says reconsidering things from scratch. He doesn't say that they're just like scrapping all system mechanics. He's saying that instead of continuing on from all the previous Guilty Gear mechanics, they're starting from scratch. They're taking the characters from Guilty Gear, the concepts that made it Guilty Gear, and they're starting over the system mechanics from scratch in a new game. That's what he's saying. Katano says, I think it's closer to keeping everything simple rather. Since we can't talk about specifics just yet, it's an ideological statement for the time being, but I hope it will be a title that can be played by a wider range of people rather than a mechanism built to follow beginners into Arc System Works world. So again, he's saying we don't want to make an Arc System Works typical Guilty Gear title with beginner mechanics to help people play Guilty Gear at the high level that people are playing it. They want to start everyone off on an equal playing field in a new Guilty Gear game with new mechanics. It's still Guilty Gear, but it's a completely new installment of the franchise with new mechanics that everyone can start fresh in. There's no beginner, stylish mode, auto combo. It's just everybody's on an even playing field, but they still want the game to have a high skill ceiling. How they're going to accomplish that, I have no idea. That sounds like an impossible feat, but that's why they called this game high risk, I'm assuming. Ishiwatari says, it's easy to think about the way the game itself has shaped up so far, but the entrance is simple. The depth of the game was not cut out. I want to make this work a deep fighting game like we conventionally do. So he says right there, for everybody who's worried, and I get it, fighting game companies say this all the time. Like every fighting game company, no fighting game company is going to say, you know, hey, our game's really, really difficult, because that scares beginners. But they're also not going to say, hey, we made our game really, really scrub friendly and ignored our hardcore audience. They're not going to say that either. That's why in these types of interviews, they have to walk a fine line, because what they want to do is they want to eliminate the fact that people are afraid to play Guilty Gear because it's so hard. You have to understand, fighting games are already a niche genre. Guilty Gear, up until I'd say recently, was definitely a niche fighting game of an already niche genre. Like Street Fighter, Tekken, Mortal Kombat are easily household names, but Guilty Gear isn't exactly a household name. Most people in the gaming space know of it, but they definitely want to build a broader audience for this game, and it's hard when your game is known for being one of the most difficult games on the planet that people won't even give a try because it has a super hardcore audience and people are afraid to go online and get destroyed. So it makes sense why they're doing this. Katano, I wish I could get rid of the fact that it's going to be difficult to look at and play. In conventional games, there's also a system that allows combos to be played by a series of buttons, and I think there are many people who were able to enter fighting games genre via that route as a result. Even if such a system is implemented with good mechanics in it, there currently isn't any. So I believe what he's saying here when he says in conventional games, there's also a system that allows combos to be played by a series of buttons. I think he means auto combos. In conventional games, some of them allow you to play auto combos because he says after that, I think there are many who are able to enter the fighting game genre via that route. Like some people were able to get into fighting games through auto combos. And he's saying even if we implemented auto combos with, you know, good mechanics in Guilty Gear, there currently isn't any. So I think he's deconfirming auto combos, but I could be completely wrong on this translation. Like this is a shot in the dark here on this one. I'm not gonna lie. You guys let me know what you think. That's my opinion. He says even if there was a back-to-back combo, I don't know what he means by that. It doesn't seem easy from the point of view of people who don't play fighting games, and I think they still don't know what's going on. So I think what he's saying there is that even when you put auto combos in the game, somebody who's watching the game doesn't know that you're using auto combos. It still looks hard to them. It still looks difficult to do, and they said they want to get away from that. They want to get away from the game looking like it's too difficult to play in the first place. So that I think he's saying that auto combos aren't necessarily the key to solving the problem. And he said even if someone did have auto combos, they still don't know what's going on in the game itself. He says in this game, if you don't usually play fighting games, you want to cherish the way the game plays and actually see what's going on. Because people often say that Guilty Gear moves too fast. I've heard people compare Guilty Gear to that of Dragon Ball Z, where they feel like a human watching Super Saiyans fight and they can't see what they're doing. And that's something he wants to eliminate. He wants to eliminate beginner players looking at Guilty Gear and thinking, oh, I can't do that, or wow, this game's intense, and not playing it. He wants them to look at it, which means the game will probably just stick to very small combos. Again, totally speculation, but I believe he means that the game will probably stick to very, very short combos, so that way people feel like it's something that they can execute. Katano says, not everything has been decided because it's still under development at the moment, but I would like to make the game a game that can touch a wider audience in a way different from usual approach of ArcSys games. Okay, so this is really interesting what Katano says here. Up to now, the Guilty Gear series and Arc System Works games have had a lot of approaches towards Japan, and Japanese players have been very strong as a result. I would like to take on the challenge of approaching the entire world further through the game's system and promotion. I don't want to play a game that you can't play unless you played the original Guilty Gear or someone who was born and raised in the Game Center arcades. I hope I can play equally on any device. So basically what they're saying here is that Guilty Gear has mainly been focused on the arcades and playing on fight sticks, but they want to kind of target a Western audience and pads and stuff like that, which I don't think is too much of an issue, because there are already games that are like that. Like, I mean, Mortal Kombat targets pad players pretty heavily. There's some fighting games that I hate when they do this, but there's some fighting games that have training mode features that involve clicking in the sticks on a PS4 controller, which is like, can be annoying if you have a fight stick. I know most fight sticks have a setting where you can still hit like R3 and stuff like that. I don't know, it's just annoying because it's clearly designed for pad. So I'd expect stuff like that in the new Guilty Gear. I don't know if I would expect gameplay mechanics. That would be interesting. But the thing is, though, I don't think that's correct, because they did mention, I hope I can play equally on any device. So I think I think that's also going to, which is weird, because they might consider changing a character like Zato, who uses negative edging, because he's considered to be easier on fight stick, because there's a lot of negative edging in Guilty Gear, and it can be hard to execute for beginners. Not only that, but it's also a little bit better on stick, although there are many pad players who can negative edge. I used to do it. I originally learned Zato, my main, on pad. So that's not necessarily true, but I think in their eyes they might believe it to be so, and I wouldn't be surprised if they started to get rid of stuff like negative edging in Guilty Gear. But again, totally speculation. I don't know. Yeah, so after that, I mean, they pretty much just ask about, like, is there a time skip in the game because Mei looks a bit older. They said the time's not really set in stone. A lot of stuff's not set in stone. They're clearly still making tough decisions with this game, but I think the clear takeaways are they want to reduce the number of system mechanics in the game. They want to target a larger Western audience of pad players and a wide range of beginners. They want to reconstruct Guilty Gear so that it's a new Guilty Gear from the ground up with new mechanics, less focus on combos and difficult execution, but at the same time not trying to hold people's hands. It sounds like they want to just wipe the slate clean and for everybody to play a brand new game with the Guilty Gear brand based on the Guilty Gear core mechanics. That's what I'm assuming. I'm still excited. I'm not going to be super worried about something that hasn't happened yet. I get it. I'm concerned that the game might not be the Guilty Gear that I know and love, but I'm also excited to try something new at the same time. And I think that's how everyone feels. That's definitely how they feel too. That's how the whole community feels, and it is what it is. So I would just say, in my opinion, I'm just going to sit back, enjoy everything that they release, the character trailers. The next character trailer is supposed to be at CE Otaku, which is in like 2 weeks, and each time some new piece of Guilty Gear content comes out, I will do breakdowns and still continue to support and play Rev 2 because it's one of my favorite games as well. But let me know what you guys think. Hopefully this was helpful. Maybe you learned something. Let me know your opinions down below. Make sure to click the subscribe if you haven't already, since I upload every week, multiple times a week, and I also stream on Twitch, usually every weekend on twitch.tv/BrendanMushi, and hit the bell icon on YouTube as well, so that way you get notified whenever I make new videos. But thanks so much for watching, guys, and I'll catch you in the next video. As always, peace out.
That is bullshit lazy, still my heart is lazy. If the word kill me, I don't need a new word under you. Soon you will know, we already know the smell of